All right, time to do another comic review, another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. Today we're going to be doing Wolverine, Madripoor Nights. This comic is one of those Lost Tales kind of stories where classic writers come back to do, like, stories within their run. This is Chris Claremont. And Chris Claremont's doing a few. I know he's doing the Rogue story, and also he did another Wolverine story called Deep Cut, which I want to read both the Rogue and that one too. I really liked his Magneto story called Magneto Was Right, so that was really fun. So this comic, if you're wondering where we are in terms of Lost Tales, this basically takes place, it's a Lost Tale that's set after X-Men number 268, which is known best for this cover. Like, what I like about this is that it gives you, like, sometimes they don't give you the full story of the Lost Tales, but this one, it's like, this time we can give you, because it's only based off of one issue, because the cover looks so rad. And that's it. Like, that's why people notice it, is because it's not so much the story is just a one and done, involving two separate timelines where Wolverine saved Black Widow from the Hand, becoming their assassin. But yeah, you just know it for that cover of Steve, Logan, and Natasha standing all cool in Madripoor. Anyway, so the story is, it's set after, so I guess you could call this 268.1, this whole story, where essentially after Psylocke, Jubilee, and Wolverine save Natasha, they're out on the town, when Steve comes blasting in, fighting the Hand. This leads to Logan teaming up with Natasha and Steve again in order to defeat the Hand and discover what's going on in Madripoor, which starts off as like a bet to see who can kill Tiger, who is a prominent crime lord in the Chris Claremont Wolverine books, and from there, the first three issues are pretty solid. Like, the first three issues of this comic are a pretty solid story, I'm not gonna lie. But then it goes completely off the goddamn rails in issues 4 and 5, and I don't know how to feel about it. But yeah, the story is really more about, like, the core of this story is about the lines Steve, Natasha, and Logan are willing to cross or not cross, which I really like, because Steve represents, like, you know, the no-kill rule and all that. Then we have Logan, who will, like, gladly gut you, and Natasha, who walks, you know, both lines in that. So I really like that Chris Claremont really plays with the dichotomy of the three characters and really has a lot for it. I also really like how we get some callbacks with Chris Claremont's Madripoor books. Like, we get some really deep-cut Wolverine villains. Like, no one talks about these villains, which is Bloodscream and Roughhouse, which are these two villains. One's this vampire who feeds off of immortals, and the other is this dude who's just super strong. Bloodscream and Roughhouse are almost like the fucking Bebop and Rocksteady of Wolverine's Rogues Gallery. No one uses them anymore. I wish people would use... I don't know if they're still alive, but you could just bring them back. It's comics. But I would love to see someone use Bloodscream and Roughhouse again, because those are, like, Logan's C-list villains. We also get another C-list, or D-list, rather, Wolverine villain, Sapphire Styx. She comes back. The comic itself is more, not so much about a auction for Tiger. It's more of... the three, the Hand has returned, and they want Natasha to be their ultimate assassin. Feels like, I was like, well, didn't you want Elektra? That was the whole thing for Elektra, was that she was meant to be the ultimate assassin, and then you did that again with Wolverine, Enemy of the State, which, by the way, I would personally really like, even though Mark Millar is kind of out there in terms of writers. He's burned some bridges with Marvel, but I would like to see someone, in terms of, like, a Lost Tales comic, I would love to see, I'm going to go on a side tangent real quick, I would absolutely love to see a Wolverine Enemy of the State miniseries set in that time where Wolverine was still mind-controlled by the Hand and attacking other heroes. I think that would be a lot of fun to do, like, because there's enough, like, in that time frame where you could do, like, a few Lost Days where Logan was used by the Hand to, like, fight Spider-Man or the Punisher or, you know, a couple other heroes, because that one was more like, it was just basically Fox Marvel. Like, that whole story is just, like, outside of a few characters, it's all just characters that were under, all the Marvel characters that were under Fox, give or take a few characters. That was the predominance, because it was focused on Daredevil, it was focused on X-Men, it was focused on Fantastic Four. Yeah, those were the main characters. And that was a time where Fox Marvel was kind of a big thing. I'm getting off topic. Sorry, I was just like, I just thought about it because I really like that story. So Wolverine Madripoor Nights, it's just a fun story where we get these three characters, united again. And I really like that no one's a dick to each other. Like, we get a lot of, especially in Marvel. You see it sometimes in DC, but not as much. In here, you see all the characters just like, yeah, we have different views, but like we're all friends at the end of the day, and we all want to be there for each other. So that's really fun. I always like to see Steve and Logan team up, and having Natasha there is a lot of fun. But the end of the comic is, like, the last two issues are just completely off the goddamn rails, and have this kind of, just absolute feeling of, what the fuck just happened, because it deals with demon lords, and then they all get possessed, and it ends in a pretty unsatisfying way. Claremont's better at endings. This didn't feel like it, but, other than that, it's a pretty decent miniseries. I enjoyed it. It's just more for the predication of, you get to see these three characters together, and, it's kind of a fun story of, classic Claremont Wolverine era. So that's pretty fun. I always liked that era. Anyway, so do I recommend Wolverine Madripoor Nights? Yeah, I do. If you like that issue, it gives you that issue if you don't have it, but I would say read that first, even though it's at the end of the book. It's a bonus story, so read that first if you haven't, and then go back and read the whole story. But I do recommend it. I really do like a majority of these Lost Tales comics. I know there's another one with Spider-Man involving the Proto-Goblin, which I really want to read. There's a few others out there that I always love reading them. I always love reading these Lost Tales comics. They're just fun canon stories that aren't, they don't require a lot of, thought power, and it's just fun to see these comics. Not to say I just want to read these. They're just fun little side stories. Anyway, so Chris, thank you once again for the comic, and yeah, if you've read Wolverine Madripoor Nights, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.